is important that we have more people voting in Chatham. And I will tell you why. Frankly, I am something of a radical and a supporter of the Chartists, who are campaigning and have been for some time. For not every man over the age of 21 has the vote, particularly not working men. There is an income requirement which quite excludes quite a number of men. Have you heard of Mr. Lester Viney Vernon? He is our Member of Parliament. Did you know that? No, I've never heard of him either. The reason for Mr. Lester Viney Vernon, I think, is purely that this was a constituency which needed a Member of Parliament, not that he has any personal affiliation to the place at all. In fact, he's not even Viney Vernon originally. He is Smith. Yes, he changed his name to Vernon later on. So Mr. Smith, lives in Berkshire. I don't think he's even been to Chatham Docks. But 3 years ago, in 1852, the last election, oh dear, was disappointing in the extreme. There was no overall majority voted for, and so a recount was required, and in some places this led to smaller by-elections to ensure that justice was done. Mr. Lester Viney Vernon came in with such a small number of the votes ahead that a petition was put forward to count them yet again, and yet somehow that has mysteriously disappeared, and our incumbent is indeed a man of Berkshire who I don't think has ever even set foot in Kent. Anyway, he needs really to come here to know the people and know who they are and know the workers, you know. I mean, if you want to know anything about workers, one only has to read the works of Mr. Dickens. Mr. Charles Dickens himself might be considering buying a property in the area. Yes, well, you know who grew up here. And I hear he has been sighted in the vicinity of the big old house near where I was born in Strood, Gad's Hill. So who knows? Perhaps next year, 1856, we may be graced with a literary person in the Medway Towns resident. Did you read last year Hard Times was serialised in that excellent magazine Household Words? It sounds as if it's very domestic, Household Words, but as one quiet radical to another, I can tell you it is filled with the most important and potent political yes, and also the same publication published in parts Mrs. Elizabeth Gaskell's North and South, last year again, 1854. And both of these novels, Hard Times and North and South, are about the class differences and conflicts between workers and owners. Yes. I have great thoughts about it. I'm so interested in the chemical processes required for the production of my book that I think eventually I might be inclined to invest in a factory in the north. Wouldn't that be wonderful, to improve the lot of workers in the north? Of course, eventually, I suppose women could vote as well, but I think we support in our more subtle ways and ever have done. I mean, according to the Post Office Directory, there are many local businesses here in Chatham around this year of 1855 run by women, particularly education. For instance, in Rochester, on Bowley Hill, there is a day and boarding house run by Mrs. Elizabeth Barnard. There's also a Miss Bond of Chatham and an Elizabeth Rule as well, both running day schools. And do you know the farmer John Main from here in Luton? He's one of about half a dozen men who have farms in this immediate area. His wife, Catherine, Mrs. Main, is also running a day school. So education is principally important, is it not? We are living amongst the working people, and I wouldn't have it any other way. My father was only a grocer. But ladies have a part to play, a very important part to play in all of this. Particularly ladies, I find, of middle and upper sorts. Sometimes they do absolutely nothing. And is there nothing to do that God should look down on the couch of the luxurious when the morning sun has long shed his light on its drapery, and should see the sleeper still seeking repose? Is there nothing daughter or sister can do to lighten the cares and anxieties of parents and brothers? Is there no active duty which, if cheerfully done, would make home happier? It is not to say such persons cannot make sacrifices for conscience' sake. I mean, they would act nobly and wisely if such sacrifices were demanded. The flash of lightning produces a great effect, and the clearer air and the cloudless sky shown that it has well performed God's mission. Who would not rather that our light should shine like that of the evening star, whose tranquil rays nightly guide the traveller home, and cheer the mariner on the deep, and smile sweetly on the shepherd who watches by his fold, till they fade away into the light of heaven. There are people, who think it has to be some great task at hand for them to do anything, and yet actually they forget that God sees all our acts. Enjoy your small acts, enjoy your constitution, and we shall meet anon.